Hi there, welcome to my channel and welcome to part 4 of Takeover Tuesday. Today I did something a little bit different. I decided I would start building the next house and it both went well and didn't go well. I'm going to put a photo here of the house that I was trying to replicate with a couple of different views from the outside and the floor plan. So this is the main view of the front of the house and this is an alternative view of the front of the house. This is one view of the back of the house. And this is the other view of the back of the house. And this is what the floor plan looks like. So what kind of threw me off was all those diagonal walls on that floor plan. Trying to navigate that. It was okay building it the first time, but then when I changed my mind and wanted to move it, it started to get a little bit complicated. But you will see what I mean when I show you how I got on actually trying to build this. And it wasn't very well, to be honest, because normally when I go to build a house in The Sims, I plan it out first on paper so that I know roughly what sizes the rooms are going to be, and I didn't do that in this case. I just started building, and I had this rough idea. I started just building, trying to replicate the front of the building with the 6 columns and the door in the middle, and I based everything else around that. And because I did that, it kind of ended up being too wide on the inside, and then I couldn't decide how I wanted to narrow it down. So I did complete it, but I'm not sure that I'm 100% happy with how it looks, although Madeleine isn't quite ready to move into it yet, so I may change it again. But I'm going to show what I've built for now anyway. So building that first main frame of the house wasn't too much of a challenge. The first major challenge I had was getting the roof to look exactly like the one on the pictures I'd chosen, because it was a double roof and I kind of did it the wrong way around. I should have done the lower roof before I did the upper roof, and then I spent a lot of time sort of playing about trying to get that the way I wanted it to look. And although the house in those reference photos is white, I didn't want my house to be white. I wanted it to be colourful because I want all the houses in this neighbourhood to be colourful, but I still wanted those I wanted the vertical lines of wood. And that was the most colourful. This sort of green colour was the most colourful colour that I could find. I tried to match the steps there and the columns as best I could. In the reference image, the columns that were there narrowed slightly towards the top, and the only similar ones that we've got in the game are quite fancy, like they're the ones from the Romantic Garden stuff pack or something like that, and the ones in that image are quite plain, so I ended up just going for ones that are straight up and down. I spent a lot of time fussing over the windows because in the reference image the windows that are in the top of the roof there are a lot smaller than the ones on the main house, and I just couldn't find anything that exactly matched it, so I ended up going with what we have there. I did a little bit of very basic landscaping with the paths there. When it actually comes time to building this house, when I actually move Madeleine in, I'll spend more time putting in plants and actually landscaping it to look like the house in the photos. I edited out my fussing about, or the majority of my fussing about moving about the size of the house. Mainly what caused me to change my mind about it was when I put the kitchen in. The area where the kitchen was supposed to go looked far too wide based on the floor plan that I had for this house. And I started to think it looked stupid, and I started moving bits around, and as you can see here, it all got really messy, and it ended up messing up the way the front of the house looked. So ultimately, I just went back to the size and shape that it was before. I did decide to use the kitchen from, I think it's from Home Chef Hustle. It's the Cine kitchen, which I'd never actually used before, but I see a lot of other simmers using it, and I think it does actually look quite nice when you use it with the fridge and the oven that comes with that pack as well. It's one of those fridges where when you put it hard up against the wall it doesn't look great, so I did kind of fuss a little bit about whether I was going to put it flush against the corner there or not, which you'll see here I kind of changed my mind multiple times about what I was going to do there. And also because this is a little bit further into the challenge, there's a little bit more clutter in this build, and once Madeleine moves in I'll build on that a little bit more, make it look a bit more full as a home. The kitchen was definitely the thing that threw me off the most, trying to get it to look the way I wanted and trying to not have it look too separated off or too big, because once I put the units in they looked kind of small and lost in the size of the build that I had, and I didn't even think the build was actually that big. I think it's just because it's all kind of on open plan, the living room, the kitchen, and through to the sort of back porch area of the house, and the kitchen units looked a little bit lost, so I had to build them up quite a bit. And again, that's something that once Madeleine's living in this house I'll probably develop that area a little bit more, maybe add in a kitchen island or something just to make it feel a bit more full. So still in the kitchen, which is absolutely the part of the house that I spent the most time on. I used the tiles there that are also from the same pack as the kitchen. Which, like I say, I think it's the Home Chef Hustle one. It's the one with the whisk and the spatula like in crosses, and it's on a green background, which should be a stuff pack. The rest of the rooms I kind of just threw together. On the floor plan, that tiny little room in the back corner was the laundry room, so I will be using the washer and dryer when I move into this property, which I've mentioned before I'm not a big fan of, but I think it does look nice, and I think it does help make the home look like a home. So I'm committing that from this house onwards in Newcrest, the houses will have washers and dryers in them. In the living room, I did the same thing that I quite often do. The Dream Home Decorator comes with these units that you can build together. You can kind of link them together to make a bigger unit if you like. So the two ends there are bookcases. The top are TV console tables, and so is the bottom, but you can kind of place them anywhere and they'll connect together to make one bigger unit. And you can then fill in some of the little shelves. I tried to fill them all in, including the ones underneath and off to the sides. And I've put a separate sound system. I've used that TV that looks like a picture on the wall so that when you're not using it, it just looks like a piece of art. I then decided I wanted dividers behind the living room there to kind of separate it off so that that living area was a little bit more sort of secluded away from the rest of the house, because otherwise you come in and it's kind of like almost like a shotgun shack in that it almost goes straight through to the back of the house. Although that's kind of the style I've been using throughout the build so far, or with the two previous houses which follow the same floor plan. I wanted to break this one up just a little bit, so I added in a couple of dividers there. And that is as much as I did on the build up to this point. So that is what it looks like so far. It's fully decorated, although I left some of the floors and walls plain with that sort of basic wood and basic white paint on them like I did with the first and second builds, with the idea being that the house isn't fully decorated, and when Madeleine moves in she can decorate it to her liking and develop the house to look a bit nicer. And again, like I say, she'll plant up the garden to get it to look a bit better. So that's how it looks overall, and it is next to the build that Madeleine's living in at the moment, so it will be visible in the rest of this video as I'm playing with Madeleine. And as I was doing this look around, I noticed that there was a patch of the exterior wall there that had been coloured wrong, so I just quickly fixed that. And the kitchen doesn't look actually too bad when I see it again there. It is a little bit wider than I would have liked. I would have liked to have brought those two sides in a little bit closer, but they ended up not looking too bad as they were. So I might leave it, or I might just put something else in. I'll see how it looks once I'm actually playing in the house. And there it is overall. It's a value of 43,000 simoleons, which is a reasonable step up from the previous house. It's got the Great Soil, the Penny Pixies and the Sunny Aspect lot traits on it as well, which will help with Madeleine's gardening. And again, the Penny Pixies means when you sit down you get a little bit of money, and the Sunny Aspect is just because it gives you like a happy, inspired or energised moodlet, usually when you wake up in the morning, and it's just a nice little boost to keep your Sims in a positive mood. So there we are on the map. So the one that I have just built, I'll probably put it into the Fern Park lot there because they're both the same size. There you go, you see it again there, Beach Byway, 45,000, including the value of the ground that it's built on. And then that yellow house there is where Madeleine is living at the moment. I'll probably copy that house across to Fern Park, as I say, but I'll do it a little bit better and a little bit different like I did with the first two lots in Comfy Cubby and Oak Alcove. So with all that said and done, we'll get back into Madeleine's story now. And where we left off, she still had Nyon round visiting her. It's Friday evening. She did get up to an A grade at school, but I'll have to wait till the start of the next week till I see if she can actually leave early. She should be able to at the end of the day on Monday. So I'm just going to get her through the weekend. I'm going to continue to work on her garden and develop her gardening skill, maybe try and get her onto the next part of the aspiration. And I will be building her research and debate skill, and I'll maybe be doing a little bit of work to the house as well to bring it along a little bit, because she does have a little bit of money in the reserve there, not an awful lot, but that's something we'll be working on over the weekend. I am going into build and buy mode because something I realised after I published last week's episode was that sink in the kitchen and the sinks that are in the bathroom are not the ones that go with that kitchen, which is why I couldn't get the worktops to match, because I had the brown worktops. I wanted the brown worktops and I couldn't find a brown worktop on that sink. That sink I was using is the one from the Country Charm kitchen pack, but then when I go and get the correct sink from the Cottage Living, like the rest of the kitchen, there we can see I can put the brown worktop on it and I can have my brown worktops and everything matches. And that looks a lot better now. Still not entirely convinced about the difference between the island overhanging tops and the sink there. Don't know what's the best way to do that. It doesn't fit flush when I have it that way because it overhangs slightly at the back and it's tucked in at the front. But if I pull it the other way, at least it lines up at the front, even if it doesn't line up at the back. So the way it is right now is the best way to have it, but I still don't think it looks great. I'll just play with it a little bit longer and see how I feel. So Nyon's feeling flirty there. Nyon's been quite flirty with Madeleine. I haven't actually gone in and had a look to see from his point of view. He possibly has a crush on her. The teens in the games get crushes pretty easily. I did a playthrough where I had a single dad and his teenage son moved in with a single mum and her teenage daughter, and straight away the teenagers got a crush on each other. They barely even interacted with each other. I think they did their homework together, and by the end of it they had a crush on each other, and every time they spoke to each other they were getting moodlets about, oh, confident I spoke to my crush. It's quite intense. That's an interesting outfit that Madeleine's wearing as well there for her hot weather wear. That is from the Cats and Dogs expansion pack, I believe, which shows how long ago it was that I made Madeleine. I probably made her at a time when Cats and Dogs was the only expansion pack that I had. I don't really like a lot of the outfits that she's wearing. I do think she needs a bit of a makeover, so if she finishes high school on Monday night, I'll do that with her. I'll give her a makeover prior to her starting at university. I was going to wait till she was a young adult, but having seen the outfit she's wearing just now, and also I noticed that when she goes to bed, she puts on really dark lipstick for some reason, which I think looks silly, so I need to get in and change that as well. Very conveniently, Madeleine had a want to chat with Kyle Kyleson because they're acquaintances, and he's just randomly turned up on her doorstep, which is perfect. We'll invite him in and that'll give her some satisfaction points just for the coincidence of him turning up on her doorstep. Madeleine autonomously started doing her homework, so since she is doing it and since Kyle's here, I'll get him to mentor her while she does it, and I'll get her to do the extra credit with his help as well. And then that will help her on Monday. She should definitely be able to leave school if her homework is all done and up to date. Now you can see there when she's getting help with her homework from an adult, she completes it a lot faster. Madeleine is now at level 3 of the research and debate skill, and I've noticed that she is completing her homework faster, which was something I wasn't sure about at the start of this challenge. I knew it helped do homework for university, but I wasn't sure if it helped teens with their high school homework. But it is helping for Madeleine, and obviously if she gets an adult to help her as well, it's even faster still. And the biggest place that I noticed the difference is on the extra credit. Before I got high school years and the option to leave school early, and I used to make my teens do their homework and their extra credit, I would find that was all they had time to do. They would come home from school, eat, and then do the homework and do the extra credit, and then it would be time for them to go to bed because it took so long to do. So getting that research and debate skill up to level 3 and getting an adult to help definitely makes a difference if you're playing as a teen. So you see here I've got it on ultra fast speed, but you can see how quickly Madeleine's completing that with her level 3 research and debating with the help from an adult, that she's probably going to get done in under an hour, the extra credit, and that's just not possible under normal circumstances. So if you are playing with a teen, and especially if you've got them on long lifespan and you want to get their grades up, definitely worth getting their research and debate skill up and always getting an adult to help. So the next morning, as Madeleine's eating her breakfast, you can maybe see what I mean, looking at her in the bottom left of the screen there, that she is in her pyjamas and she's wearing really dark lipstick for no reason. Oh, and Nyon's just walked in the house and he's embarrassed for some reason. Which doesn't really make any sense, because I'd lined up for Madeleine to go to the toilet, but he walked in on her eating her breakfast. I can only assume that there's a bit of a lag in her animations there, and that he's supposed to have walked in on her on the toilet, but he's not even in the bathroom, so I don't know how I also don't know how he got in the house, because he doesn't have a key for the house. It's very strange. Just thinks that he lives here now, he's going in and helping himself to food. Okay. So as I was lining up for Madeleine to do gardening there, I've noticed in the background that Blarfy is back to his neutral face. And just close that off because I'm not doing all these tasks. Yeah, he's back to his neutral face, so I'll need to get her to chat to him again and cheer him up because his happy eyes have gone. She's not been interacting with him enough. Nyon's now settled himself down to start watching a movie in Madeleine's house, so I'll just get Madeleine to join him. She's in a playful mood and that'll get her fun need up a little bit, and it'll also get her social need up. She can chat to him while she's watching the movie. Not sure which movie it is that he's watching. Might be able to figure it out by looking at it. I think that's probably the College Cram movie that they're watching there by the looks of it. The movies are quite disjointed. They've usually got a general theme that you can figure out by watching a few scenes, but they're very disjointed. Looks like Madeleine doesn't understand what's happening in the movie there either. A little clackerboard and a question mark because she's confused about what's happening. It's quite good. I didn't ask them to socialise. If you have your Sims watch a movie, they just autonomously start speaking to each other about what they're watching. So it's good for getting their social need and their fun need up. And seeing their friendship going up again there, I can see that the green bar at the top for their friendship is at a maximum. So I'm going to get them to become best friends because they might as well. Friendship's all the way up. And Nyon's just put another movie on. I think it's the one about the little dog lost or whatever it's called. Yeah, it's the one about the dog. I'm just going to let them carry on watching that movie together as well. And next door there you can see the house that I was building at the start of the video there, which will be the next place that Madeleine moves across to. It looks like Madeleine didn't enjoy the movie, or she's bored of the conversation that they're having. It's probably the movie. Yeah, boring movie. I think they get that moodlet quite a lot, and I suppose Madeleine didn't choose that movie, but sometimes I feel like if the movie was boring, why did they continue watching it? Why didn't they just switch it off? And before she watches anything else, I'm going to get her, since Nyon's leaving, I'm going to get her to work on her debate skill again. And I'm not doing all these little side quests, that can just go away. So Madeleine's research and debate skills coming along quite nicely there. It would be good this weekend if I could get it to level 4 or possibly even level 5 before she starts university. I should probably be able to get it to level 4 before the end of the weekend, and then on Monday she will be finishing school, so I could have another chance on Monday to get it a little bit higher. And that's Diego Lobo turning up at the door. I'll let him in as well for her to have someone to chat to just for a little bit. And Diego is also dazed. Everyone turning up to my house dazed. There's something strange going on in the world of The Sims that everyone is just constantly dazed. And actually, seeing Diego up this close, I'd never noticed before that he's actually got a really sort of pencil-thin moustache going on there. I'm not going to go to the prom. Yeah, I actually thought he was wearing lipstick at first, but I've realised he's actually just got a really, really thin black moustache there. And I've never noticed that before. But having said that, it's kind of hard to take my eyes off of his eyes, which are crossed over because he's just still totally dazed there. Now Madeleine got bored of talking to him and started autonomously watching a movie, and he's joined her, so that's fine, I'll let them watch the movie together. Don't know what she's saying about it now. Some of the things they say about the movie are really weird. He was talking about underwear, she's talking about farts, and then he's telling her to shut up, and now he's talking about underwear and clapping his hands. It's just very bizarre. And maybe we should have checked to see what movie it was they were watching there. And from that conversation, Madeleine's learned that Diego is hot-headed. It's the next morning and Madeleine again has just sat herself down to watch a movie, but I'm going to get her to do a workout instead because it's not quite time for the garden to be tended yet this morning. And we're in the neighbourhood where Rock Your Body is one of the neighbourhood action plans, so she'll get some influence points, and I'm not sure if they get satisfaction points or just influence points, but I'll get her to do it anyway so she's in accordance with the plan. And that's another outfit of hers I'm going to have to change. I don't quite mind that tracksuit, but she's wearing sunglasses and bright turquoise trainers that don't match the tracksuit that she's wearing. And again, she's got that really dark lipstick on, which is okay, but it's not really what I would expect her to wear for her workout clothes. And that's good to see that there's weeds on the plant, because the last step for this part of her aspiration was to weed or water 10 plants. So this should get her into the second stage of her aspiration once she's done this. And yeah, there we go. Milestone complete. So that's her now completed the first stage of the freelance botanist aspiration. And she's on to the second one, which is get to level 4 of gardening and evolve 5 different plants. Oh, and that's her at level 4 of gardening already. So that's half of that stage of the aspiration done. And she has evolved those plants a couple of times already, but she should get the chance to evolve them again soon. And that'll help her advance with her aspiration a little bit there. So again, I had Madeleine vacuum the house. It was dusty and needing doing, but it's also given her the focused moodlet to help her with her research and debate. And she's now very close to level 4. If I can get her up to level 4 this morning, that would be great. And then I'll let her keep going a little bit, and then I've got a good chance of getting her up to level 5, either before or when she just has started at university. And that will definitely help with her doing her homework and her exams and everything else that she has to do there. However, I am going to take a trip to the flea market because the last time I went there I was able to get a good deal on a couch, so I'm going to go and see if I can get a couple of good deals on some furniture for the current house that Madeleine's in, so we can bring it along a little bit in its improvements. And as I'm loading into the lot here, I see that the new skill day has appeared at the top of the screen. I did say earlier that I suspected it was new skill day because I saw that Madeleine had that confident skill gained moodlet, but it wasn't showing in the top left of the screen, but for some reason, because I've travelled, it's now appeared, and that's confirmed she's about to get the little woohoo, I've achieved it emotion there. Madeleine is a little bit hungry, so I'm going to order food because I see she's got a want to order food from a food stall, so I'll just order from the first stall, cheapest item that's there. I don't think I've done any ordering from food stalls with Madeleine yet, and doing that lets them obviously learn all the dishes, all the San Myshuno dishes and recipes, so it's something else for her to learn and something to keep her happy. And as I'm saying that, Diego Lobo is calling asking if I want to go to the flea market. I did actually hold off going at first because I thought maybe I should wait and someone will invite me and I can go with them. But then I thought, no, I definitely want to go, I'll just go. So I have discovered recently that if you say yes, they just turn up. I've always been worried about saying yes to that in the past because I was worried that it would go back to a loading screen, but thankfully it doesn't. But now that I have come here with someone, it's given me an objective for the event, which is to watch Performer. So we'll watch Manuel playing his guitar there. And I'm going to buy this cuttlefish sofa. That's a good sofa, so that's a good deal. And I'll just have a quick look around and see if there's anything else that I want to buy. Okay, there's not a lot of great things here. A lot of it's not any better than anything I've already got. I do usually quite like that sofa, but it's not better than the one I've already bought. I'm going to get this lamp, or this lantern. I'm going to put that out on the porch. I think that'll look quite nice. And I quite like this black chair here. Sally's shell, I've not noticed that or used that in any of my builds before, so I'll get that and see if I can use that to set up a little desk and chair for Madeleine at home. And then of course we will watch Manuel, and hopefully Madeleine doesn't tip him. I'll have to keep an eye on her because I don't want her to be giving away simoleons unnecessarily. Manuel walked away as Madeleine came over, but it's still checked off that she watched his performance. And I'm standing next to that sim in this save file who kinda looks a bit like Agnes Crumplebottom. Just a little bit. She's not very like her, but at a glance I sometimes think it's her. The hair's a bit too dark, but it's the same hairstyle and she's got a lot of the same general style of clothes. While I'm in San Myshuno and I'm waiting for the event to end, I'm going to get Madeleine to just do a little bit of other skill building. So I'll get her to do some karaoke. And if by the time she's done that, the event is still not over, I'll get her to dream big at the basketball hoop. Because doing that, you can raise a whole level of your fitness skill, especially if you're at the lower levels of your fitness skill, which is a little tip that I learned watching one of James Turner's videos, and it has come in handy already for other playthroughs that I've been working on. So Madeleine's almost finished at the karaoke there, and I've still got a bit of time left on the event. So I'm going to have a look and see if there's any posters or snow globes. If not, I'm just going to get her to dream big at the basketball hoop. and there wasn't anything worth harvesting or collecting there, so I'm just going to get Madeleine to dream big at the basketball hoop, and because her fitness skill is low, she will get a big boost from doing this, but she'll also get, it's the sprained ankle or twisted ankle uncomfortable moodlet that I think they get at any point below possibly level 5. You see there, the first shot she took, she went up one level completely from level 1 to level 2, and she's most of the way to level 3, but she does have the uncomfortable moodlet I can see in the bottom there, so she obviously does have the sprained ankle thing. I'm just going to do it a couple more times just to get her skill up a little bit higher. So that's her up to level 4 there. It's starting to get dark, and I think the event should have ended. It just seems to be lingering on, so I'm just going to close it off so that she can go home now. So we're back home, and Madeleine needs the toilet. She's got a sprained ankle and she's got a cold moodlet. I was wondering why, because she's in her winter wear there, but it must be because she was in her workout clothes while she was in San Myshuno. And I think I've been caught out with that before a few times, where I've gone to play basketball outside and the weather's been cold, and because they're in their workout clothing, which is not made for cold weather, the sim ends up getting too cold. So now that Madeleine is home, I'm going to have a look in her household inventory at the stuff that we bought at the flea market and see if I can get it put into the house. And here we go, we've got the 3 things we bought. We've got the couch, the lantern and the chair there. So I'm going to put the lantern out on the porch, like I said. I'll put it beside the chair that's already out there, and then I am going to put, so that shell chair that I bought doesn't seem to go under tables. I'm going to replace the couch anyway with this couch because I prefer this new couch, and the couch that's outside looks like an appropriate sort of outside couch, so I'm happy with that. But the couches, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with this shell chair because I thought it was like a desk chair that I could put under a desk. I don't know how I would actually use it, if it's just meant to be like an armchair because it's made of wood, and I don't really think that it fits the aesthetic of the house to have it as an armchair. So I'm going to have a little think about how I'm going to use it. One of the things I definitely wanted to get was a vanity. This is my favourite one, which is actually the cheapest one. And you can get it in pink and you can get it in black. And I had thought that I could pair it with that shell chair, but I don't think that's going to work. I'm still going to get the vanity anyway, and I might just have to get a different chair for it. So give it a try. No, it's not gonna intersect with that vanity. I can't get the chair to work with that vanity. So I think that chair is intended to be like a sort of armchair. I'll maybe keep it as a decoration in the house. I really like the way it looks. And I think the swatch that's on it is the best swatch for it, the black with the pink details. But practically I can't really use it in this house, to be honest. So I'm just going to get a chair that will work with that vanity. I'll get this one here. The pink kind of matches the pink that the vanity desk is in. And I am also going to get a little desk for that area in behind the kitchen, between the kitchen and the back door there where the black chair currently is. I'm going to get a little desk there and a fairly cheap computer and a chair for Madeleine, since she's likely to be graduating from high school soon and starting university. She will need her own computer to be able to do things like writing her reports and studying for her exams and things like that. So I'm going to go with this poolside dining table from Get Together. I quite often use that as a small desk when I'm in a small area in a basic house. It's relatively cheap. And I'm desperately trying one last time, but that chair is definitely not going to intersect with any tables or desks of any kind, unfortunately. And I'm going to get the Pastel Pop computer, the one from the Pastel Pop kit, the aesthetically portable tablet there. I always think that's an appropriate sort of looking computer to use for teens. And it's nice and small and compact as well. So I'll stick that down there just now. And I'm just going to leave the shell chair there. If nothing else, if Madeleine gets any visitors while she's working on her university coursework, they can sit there and speak to her while she's working, because it's one of those things, it's a bit like writing books. The Sims can speak to another Sim while they're doing the work at the same time on the computer, so it's a place for someone to sit while they're speaking to it at least. So it's been quite a build-intensive episode this week. I did want to play on a little bit longer and go through Monday and see if Madeleine finishes high school, but I think this video's run on long enough as it is at this point. So I'm going to end it here for this week, and next week we will definitely get her finished with high school and we'll see what kind of course she's going to end up doing at university. So tune in again next week and we'll see what happens then. Thanks for watching.